Hello everybody, welcome back to Commonwealth Flipper. I shut that door before I started filming because I did something crazy and it'll be on the next video or two. But this video is about a topic that I'm passionate about, and that is a strategy that, there's been a lot of debate lately, especially about replenishables or picking in traditional styles and all that stuff. I think it's not an either or thing. There's a particular strategy I talk about often, but I want to kind of put an exclamation point on it today because I think a lot of people are missing out on tens of thousands of dollars a year because they're not doing this. Let's go take a look. And if you've been watching this show a while, you know there's one particular item that I did this. And I'm not saying it's something everybody can do. It's not. But in general, this idea is something that everybody can do and increase their profits a ton if they start focusing on it. There's one particular item, however, that I quite literally will be able to pay off my house. When they're all gone, I've been saving that money. We're going to pay off this house that I have from selling one item many, many times. And of course, I've been paying on my house for quite a while. Anyway, this is what I'm looking for. This is actually, just take a little snapshot of that, what I'm talking about today. And I'll go around and I'll tell you many of these type of items. I think the great debate that's happened lately with people, and we've talked about certain YouTube channels criticizing, traditional picking, if you will, and reselling. It's not worth the time, and you're wasting your time. You're not running a business. You're not whatever. Well, most of us do it because we love it. That's not going to be it right there. I'm looking. Hi, how are you? What are you doing? I know what you want. This is a Harley belt, but I don't know the size of it. There's one left of this size. I think since this is the only one I have that's a single, there's doubles there. No, maybe not. I'll have to look. All right, I found the right size. It's this little Harley belt right here, size 32. These are going to go back over there. Sold for $20.97 plus shipping. Now, most of you already know the one item I'm talking about. I will expose that here in a little while and tell you the story behind it. But this is about a much bigger topic. There are people that are out there saying, white label, do this, do that, and this is dumb, you're wasting your time doing that. This, I will make the same argument. This is more of a lifestyle than anything else, and you can make a significant amount of money, and you can control your own destiny without much risk at all in this type of business, and I love it. I'll never stop doing it. I love it that much. But there is an argument to be made for replenishable stuff. And I think that there's a lot of people who think that it's one way or the other. I'm not going to order from China to do this or whatever. I think you can do both in a very, very different way than most people discuss. Multi-quantity items are out there. If you search for them, I will just walk around the shed and I will show you. This one right here that I just sold, I used to have 2 giant boxes of that stuff. Now we're down to a box that's about half full of those Harley belts. I've been selling them for years. You've seen me walk over to this thing and sell the ET pins and the little keychains for years. That whole thing is full of multi-quantity items. Full of multi-quantity items. Multi-quantity item right here. Multi-quantity item right here. I have so many. And you would, those right there, that whole shelf, this whole top area behind these toys and stuff is full of multi-quantity items. I am estimating that I make about $20,000 a year in multi-quantity items, and that's not even counting my biggest multi-quantity item because it doesn't really apply to too many people. But there is so much money, and you can find this stuff, believe it or not, at garage sales. Most of you know this already, but I think there's a difference between knowing it and putting it into active practice and seeing the outcome over time. This is definitely not a multi-quantity item. It is a... And there's also some risk. We'll get to that too, but not like we're talking about in the other ones. This one is, I bought it for $1 to sale in, where was that? Nashville Ray Nashville Flippers Meetup. Came across quite a few VHS that were actually worth it. This one sold for $10.40, the last Starfighter plus shipping. This one was a viewer sale. I gotta tear it. Here, get rid of that. We've been selling so much, I haven't even torn that thing off lately. This one went to Andrew. He says, big fan of your channel, been watching for years. I do some reselling myself out here in Vegas. I collect and grade VHS, so this might end up in my personal collection. Thanks for the deal. Andy Martinez, Taco Wolf, collectibles. Well, thank you. I appreciate that very much. I've been putting out a lot more collecting type content on my Commonwealth Picker Facebook page, and I'm getting some traffic coming in. I don't know if that's you or not, but I'm getting some traffic coming in now to Dibbed It, which is really cool, from collectors instead of just resellers, and some folks coming into my eBay store. So that's really cool. Thank you. Now I'm really, well, for a while now, you've seen me do this, but especially now, if I see a box of something and it's all exactly the same, you better be sure I'm looking it up. I don't even care if it's a $5 item. I'm looking it up, because if there's hundreds in there, that's just steady money over time with far less work, because you can make one listing. I mean, look at this. We had 2 giant boxes of this stuff in here. A lot of it was multi-quantity. Some of it wasn't. I think we had 3 of these in particular, so that was one listing, 3 things, which really cuts down on the time. Even if they're not exactly the same thing, because List Easier now, if they're similar, it makes it so easy to get them listed. And some of you are giving me some good feedback. I got a message today about that, about somebody that had a death pile of CDs. I'll tell you about it in a minute. Rode iPhone Pro 15 Pro Max with the ribbon, whatever, lipstick or whatever it is, $19.95 plus shipping. You know, a lot of people will look at some of my sales, like these ET pens that I always sell right here, and they're like, what? It's not worth it. I'm like, well, listen, all that is full of it. That entire bin right there is full of it. I have a bin bigger than that inside that's full of it. They were all listed in a day. All of it counted, quantities, everything listed in a day. And then it just slowly sells over time. Yes, you do have to have some space. Look at these right here. You saw me sell these. I don't know why they stopped all of a sudden. And there is some risk to stuff. If you have massive quantities of something, you may eventually over time have to lower your cost or something. But especially at the beginning, you can get decent money for them. But all that soap, we had 2 drawers of this stuff. Multi-quantity, made a ton of money. That's a big money maker. We've had all kinds of items like that. Even really small dollar items like these, where I'm only making like $2 a piece, but it's one listing and it was done years ago and you just sell it off. I love that kind of stuff. You'll see it here in a couple days. I did something that's kind of crazy, but part of the reasoning behind it was that there was so much multi-quantity with this. And I'm like, man, I just pulled stuff out of my dad's Jeep back there that you'll see what I'm talking about. There was an entire box full of a particular item, and it's a $30 item. And there's, I don't know, dozens and dozens of this thing. It's one listing. And then there's another box out there that I'm like, oh, this is perfect for List Easier. I talked about the CD person the other day. They're like, yeah, now that there's this new 100 listing thing it's not a plan, you just buy the 100 listings. It's like, I took 100 CDs and listed them all at the same time, and it cost me $14.99 to do it, but it was done in like that. And that stuff would have sat around forever. So there's 2 little strategies here. You can ramp up your business now more than you ever have before. Because of that, code Commonwealth, you can hit that link below. But really, you don't even have to have that. You can look for these identical multi-quantity item listings, and you can get them listed. Even if I'll oftentimes pick up an item at a yard sale that I think is cool, and it's like $2 into 10. It's like, I don't really want to do it. But if there's 6 of them, I'm doing it in a heartbeat. I would estimate, and this is kind of a guess, I looked at like the last month and kind of figured out percentages. I would estimate 20 to 25% of my sales are coming off of multi-quantity listings. And that really cuts down on the time that you spend on an item. There's still one-off stuff that I paid up for this one. I think I paid $20, maybe $15 for this. I can't really remember. But I was like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. But it's okay. Sold it for $45.95. So even if I paid $20, I'm making a little bit. But my guess is I probably paid $15. Little Christmas caroler blow mold. It is working. So I'm going to show you this next one, which is a multi-quantity item that I just grabbed, actually. And we've already sold. This is the first one that's sold, but it looks like we've got a couple more coming. And then I'm going to talk about the one item. This is kind of a tangent of a story, but it really, really got me thinking. Let's just say this. This wasn't the first multi-quantity item I ever picked, but it really got me thinking. And I have done some things because of it that have really made me money over time. I would love to see some multi-quantity buys that you guys have made down there. Tell us in the comments, because I have heard stories of people who have bought so much of one item that quite literally changes their business forever. Almost every reseller I know has one of these stories, these multi-quantity stories, and some of them are regret stories, like I bought this many and didn't buy them all, because you can never quite judge demand over the long term. So you got to be careful, and you got to buy it cheap. But man, this is a strategy that some people, not that you're missing it or you don't know it, you just don't actively seek these things out. All right, I think I put them back. I just listed these and put them back here, so I'm hoping, yeah, that's where I put them. I put hats over here sometimes, you know, toboggans and trapper hats and stuff, but this bin of club head covers is a little low, so I decided I'd put them in here. This is a stadium giveaway for Liberty Flames, and it just happened. And I was the first one to get them listed. I was actually at this game, took my boy to the game. Took Reagan to the game, $14.95 for that hat, plus shipping. So you Amazoners out there are really the ones who have, this is ingrained in you, right? That's how you make some big bucks on some of this retail arbitrage stuff. But boy, you can do it at garage sales. You know, it just reminded me, I could tell so many stories of so much that I have as multi-quantity. That's identical, not like this that's all different, that requires a separate listing. I had over 100 of these things. We've sold them off over the years. I only make between $3 and $7 a piece on them is all I'm making. But there were hundreds of them. And I've been selling them for years, and I don't have to do anything except for when it sells, package it up. Now, I find those hats all the time. I find them at different garage sales around here because that university is pretty close. But I was just happened to be at that game, took my daughter, and, you know, I've done this. Let's just say I didn't walk away with one. Okay, and I got some other people I know there that they gave me them, but I've been for stadium giveaways before, and sometimes they don't let you do this, so you got to be careful. The best time to sell a stadium giveaway is while the game is going on. That's the truth. You put them up there right then, and you can get a bunch of sales. And a lot of times, after time goes by, you have to lower the price. So sometimes the very best time is to sell it. But we went to a Lynchburg Hillcat game, and they had a Star Wars bobble one night. And I took my whole family. I knew I could pay for all the tickets and all the food by selling that bobblehead that each one of us got. But then we went around, and I gave my oldest boy a pile full of $5 bills, and he was buying them. The next time we tried it, they're like, yeah, you can't buy these inside the stadium. So we're like, okay. So we went outside. We just bought and bought and bought. Because it's one listing. If you can make 20 bucks a pop and you can, you know, profit by paying $5, sometimes you just ask for them. Hey, do you want that? They're like, no, they don't want it. Some people don't care. And you can really, really make some money. But I love finding this stuff at garage sales. And when I see a box full of something, like I said, I'm going to grab it. Now let's get in. Let me pick one more item, and then we're going to get into the item quite literally that we've sold over $100,000 worth of. And when I talk about this item, a lot of you know exactly what I'm talking about already. But some of you will immediately turn off and say, well, only you could do that. But I'm telling you right now, that's not the case. All right, Battlestar Galactica one. I bought one of these down in Georgia, Peaches to Beaches, or two. Or maybe I didn't. Maybe I passed because they wanted like $5 for it or something. But I bought some from a sale not too far down the road, Rustburg, Virginia. And I got them way cheaper, $2 or something. And there was a few of them, actually, multi-quantity, $17.95 plus shipping. So some of you have heard this story, and some of you maybe have not, and you wonder why. I don't know if I have one of these listed or not right now, but we auctioned them off. We're down. We used to auction 3 of these off a week. That's what I have right there. And then that little load right there. So we're just doing one every couple of weeks at this point. But this guy right here, and they sell right now on auction. Let me just reiterate the story from the past. I went down the road one day and I was shopping in a little shop here in town called Dirt Road Treasures. They now don't sell there anymore, but they do sell on Dibdit.com. You can come and check them out. They got crazy good stuff. And I saw those, and I had bought them and sold them. I picked them up at garage sales. That Fleet Enema company, it's a plush enema. I had picked them up before. I picked up little Christmas ornaments that I saw because you'd see them around town at garage sales. And I would make, you know, $15 a piece, $10 to $20, depending on how things were going at the time with those. And a lot of times around $15 a piece. And I saw they had a basket full of them, and I think they were, I don't want to tell the story wrong. I got to go back and watch the video. I think they were like $2 a piece. maybe 3, but I think there were 2. And so I said, hey, you know, would you guys consider selling me, you know, that whole basket for $1 a piece or something like that? I can't remember. We maybe settled on $1.50. And I bought a whole basket full. I'm not sure how many there were, maybe 20 or so. And I remember he said to me, you know, I got more where that came from. I'm like, oh, interesting, cool. But I'm like, you know, sell-through rate and stuff. It's like, how many could I possibly buy and sell at that? You know, how many you're going to sell? What's the sell-through rate, right? And so I bought him, brought him home. This is right when I started this channel years and years ago. And then I sold 1 or 2, and then a viewer bought one. And a viewer said, man, I hope this gets my eBay store moving, because of course it's an enema. And I thought, huh, that's funny. I really like that, an enema to get your eBay store moving. And I immediately jumped in my car and went back and bought like 10 boxes. $50 a box, 15 a box, or something like that. I can't remember exact numbers. I think there were different numbers at different times. And I was like, you know what? What's the worst that's going to happen? I thought to myself, you know what? Viewers are going to love this. This is going to become something. And we started posting them up there, and I put multi-quantity on there, and they were like, I don't know, $15, something like that. I don't remember, $12.95 maybe. We put them out there cheap, under the market. And they just sold. I was selling 10, 20 a day. And I'm like, huh. I went back again. I bought all of them. Now, obviously, that was social media driven. But there was a track record of sales on there. I'm not saying I'd go back and buy thousands and thousands of them if there hadn't have been, because that's a huge cash outlay to not get your money back in a timely manner. However, you know, maybe if you get them cheap enough, maybe you do exactly that. And you can sell them forever. And that's what we did. We went and bought every single one he had. He thinks he still has a box stuffed somewhere, so we'll see if he does. And so we sold those for years. But there was a track record. I would have, regardless of social media or not, I would have paid $1 a piece for a $15 item that's going to sell 50 to 100 in a year. I would have paid that and just looked at the future and like, okay, you know, maybe 5 years worth, 3 years worth, something like that. That might have been the limit of what I bought. But that item, thanks to you guys, by the way, and this isn't completely relevant to what I'm talking about, but I just thought I would throw it out there because it's the same idea. We have surpassed $100,000 in sales. I think by the time they're all done, adding in the sales that we did, because we made our own, because there's a limited supply of these. They're not making them anymore, obviously. We made our own. We sold out all but these right here. I found them in a box in the trailer out there. We had sold them all out for the number 2. Ironically, the number 2. And then we have a bunch more that we sell on CommonwealthPicker.com. We don't sell these anymore because this is the last little batch we got. But then we combined these 2 right here, and we have them over there on CommonwealthPicker.com as the number 3, which is a trash to cash joke, but you get the point. So at the pace we're currently at, we will surpass at some point $120,000, which, by the way, is what I owe on my house. And so, no, I couldn't completely pay off my house because that's not all profit, but daggone, it's almost all profit. It's been such a good buy and a blessing from you guys to us. But man, look for multi-quantity listings. And I think that is significant. And a lot of people, they might kind of, I don't know, fall into them sometimes, but search them out and see if you can find them. Ask people, you know, hey, if you see 3 or 4 sitting on a table of something at a garage sale, hey, you got any more of these? Sometimes people will just bring out a few to see how they sell before they bring out everything. And that's a really good idea too. So I'd love to hear your multi-quantity garage sale stories. Got to be garage sale. Well, maybe the thrift store. I saw somebody post on Trash to Cash the other day. They had tons of the, I can't even remember what they were. They were some kind of pop culture item. That's why it caught my eye. And they were in a thrift store. And they had them priced like, how much for all of it? And they gave it to them literally pennies on the dollar. All right, I walked back there to look at the games, and this isn't where the games are. So I'm thinking maybe it was a bigger box, so I put it inside. Plus, it's a gorgeous day. Check this out. I mean, I absolutely love the fall, y'all. Just absolutely love it. I was sitting up in that chair a little while ago. Just incredible. The boys are in there playing video games. I did a show earlier. And I'm hoping I put it right there. Look at that, y'all. Right here. And it's not these. It's the Domino Rally game. I have avoided selling these I've sold them before, but they are such a pain. The time that it takes to sell something like this, where you got to take it out, make sure all the parts are there, take the pictures, there's not much money. I didn't buy this. Well, I bought it, but this was part of the death pile picker deal. And I would have probably avoided this game for anything more than $1. And I don't know what I ended up paying for it in that giant lot, but these are a pain in the butt. They take up a lot of time. Multi-quantity truly is king. It's like these things here. Like I bought these down in Florida, and they're not a sexy buy, but they're multi-quantity. Look at that multi-quantity right there. So I don't really want to beat a dead horse, but there's a couple of drum beats that I've been really harping on lately. And one is all kinds of opportunities in different ways reselling. And the other one is time. Time is something you just can't get back. And that's what keeps people from scaling. And multi-quantity really, really helps that. And these really, really hurt it. Because not only did you take a whole ton of time, I will make far less money per hour on that item than I will selling these things for $5.99. Guaranteed. 100%. Because this is going to take a while to package up and ship as well in comparison, and to take out the parts and pieces and do all that. It's a pain in the butt. $27.50 plus shipping. All right, here you go. Perfect timing to make my point. Absolutely perfect timing. We sold another one of these trapper hats. And here it is. I ended up with 6 of these for free, which is amazing. List them for $14.95 a piece. I'm into them for nothing. Fees, I'm making $12 a piece. 12 times 6, $72. I literally listed it, took the picture right there on my phone, listed it at the game. And how long is this going to take to package up? A minute? Not even. So I'm probably going to be 5 minutes into $72 in profit when these are all sold. Just wandering around looking, I've already talked about a few. And yeah, you could make, I see these people doing the 3D printing and selling things on eBay with 3D printings that's replenishable. And yeah, I think there's just tons of great. I see some more multi-quantity over there. I bought a ton of these, if you recall, multi-quantity. I had a ton of the other headbands multi-quantity right here. And there's just so much of that multi-quantity stuff that I really, really want to focus on. I'm trying to think what else I have. Of course, all that Harley stuff is multi-quantity as well. I know I have more of it sitting around here. It'll kind of hit me in the face when I figure it out, but I had a bunch of VHS that were all the same that have finally sold as well. So that small profit, very little time, it adds up. It really, really does add up. I really want to hear some of your stories down below of something you found at a garage sale. Put that down there. I really appreciate it. I'm going to mention one more sale really quick that I've got to go. I was just told I'm the one taking Reagan to practice before Turner's game starts. And so I don't even want to, we just listed it. It's inside, and you're going to see a bunch of this stuff here in a little bit. So this is a pear handle Cutco paring knife, but the tip is broken off of it. So I put it out there super cheap, and it's sold just like that because I believe they will replace. I know they sharpen anything over time, but I believe they will replace as well. So somebody figures we get that, send it in, get a replacement. These go for pretty good money, but this one sold for $10 plus shipping. So one of the reasons I bought this unit that, well, I just let the cat out of the bag. I'm going to show you on the next couple of videos at some point, I hope, if I have time, is I saw these and I saw a box of these. I don't know how many there are. I just brought 3 home really quick and just started it off. But if I find a box full of 20 more of these SpongeBob colognes for kids, that would be awesome. The listing's already done, multi-quantity. They only, I don't know, $19.95 plus shipping or something like that. But you know what? If you find 20 of them, that's a lot of money, y'all. And that adds up really quick. So I love that stuff. And then I just listed this too. This reminds me so much of my mother. She listened to this when I was a kid all the time. These actually go pretty good. I think it's the artwork that sells them. I'm going to put it right there until it sells. Carpenter's Christmas. And Poncho, you're all in here by yourself. Where's your brother at? Huh? Y'all, my son just ordered something from Amazon and I saw this box. I'm like, wait a minute. Let me grab it. That's going to save me a ton of time, I think. Love it when this happens. Because this isn't the kind of box I would store. I like to store boxes because I don't want to go out and hunt all the time. But look at that. That's perfect size. I'm going to cut it down an inch or two. And it's pretty easy. People always ask me to do this, but it's not rocket science, y'all. Let me do it real quick. All right, so I like to put a little bit of paper inside the box as well to make sure it's got enough pressure that the parts and pieces don't slide around. And then it had just enough space to put a little bit of paper around the side. I don't do much on the top. I'm just gonna put that in there like that. And I tell y'all, if you don't do this, if you don't cut down boxes, and I know a lot of people just don't, I won't even mention them. I'll just say I'm on a podcast with one of them. It costs you money. There's no doubt. There's a couple things you can do. One way, if you want to get it exactly right, if you're pretty particular, is I just cut the slat off and I push that down to figure out exactly where the cut's going to be. And then I cut it exactly, and then you can use this, and you don't even have to score it at this point. I'll just take this piece over here, put it here, get the exact place. I don't even score it when I have this method. I just push that right up against it, and that fold is going to go right there. Then you bring it back over here, and I cut half it off so it's not perfect, but you get the point. So that one's going to go there, slide this guy in the middle. And if you want to score it, you can score it. I just score it with a knife, just go right across it. Or you can just take this and use the same method here and bend that sucker down right there. I think either way is fine. I think I'll score this one. It's kind of long. So I just score it with a knife to make it a little cleaner cut. There you go. And it should bend just perfectly fine. So you're good in there. I like to tape it before I go to the other side because sometimes it'll move. But you know, you can get pretty good at this. I'd be done already if I wasn't talking to you. So I don't know if you can see it good enough or if I'm wasting my time, but since people ask, I'll do it. Right across there, a little score should do the trick. And sometimes, y'all, it can save you $8 to $10, depending on the size and where something's going, just by cutting off the 2 inches we just cut off. And that's all it takes. You also can go through here if you want. If weight is an issue, you could go through here and cut really good so it gets 2 different layers and you get a little bit of cardboard off the top and the bottom. But I don't think it's going to make a difference in this one where it's going. So I'm not going to do it. I use tape. That's my biggest problem. I use too much tape, more than likely, on stuff. And I'll tape up the edges. But you get the point right there. And look, you're going to save a bunch of money if you take the time to shape the box to your item. I could have made that a little bit more presentable if I would have made that clean cut down here and you wouldn't have all this, probably wouldn't use as much tape. But speed is important. And I've had people tell me, you know, I don't like to do that because of the presentability of the box and I don't want whatever. I'm like, whew. Man, if I could save $5, $6 on a package and do it 100 times a year, holy moly, you better believe I'm going to do it. And of course, the 3-inch tape makes it easier. My go-to tape, Commonwealth, 5% off. I love it. All right, I got to show you this because this saved a good chunk of money. 2 inches saved a good chunk of money. So 21 inches long, 16 by 4. 21 by 16 by 4 is what I have it at. $7.63 is all this is going to cost. It's only going to Pennsylvania. So $7.63. Now, if it was exactly the size of that box, I put more fill in it. First of all, the fill costs money. But then there's 2 more inches on the top. So let's change it to 6 inches. By the way, that's UPS ground right there. FedEx ground economy would be $6.70. At that price, I'm just going to do UPS ground because I got nothing else going to go to FedEx. So let's change this to 6 inches. And I'd show you the screen, but it's got the person's address on it. $13.03. So $5.50, $5.60, something like that. $5.70. $5 and I don't know, you get the point. Just by taking the time to cut those 2 inches down. Plus you save time in your space when you're actually getting stuff out the door. So it truly is a mistake that a lot of people make. Now, you have to be wise about it. You don't need to do that on all items. The items that you really need to do it on are the ones that are close to a cubic foot, and cutting down those inches are really, really going to help you. I already kind of mentioned it, but I want to just put this. If you've been watching my channel a long time, think of, there were 5 different types of these keychains. 5 different types. I believe 2, maybe 3 of them. Yeah. Let's look. There you go. So 3 of the 5 have sold out completely. And for some of them, there was Corvette, we were getting like $20 a piece, and I was into them for $1. And so we were getting $20 a piece for a ton of them. But there were hundreds of them in different types. And now we're down to just this many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 left of those. And whatever is left of these. And they're selling around $10 a piece. But how many thousands did we make? I think it's important to always do the things that make you money, for sure. But try to branch out a little bit. Try to think about things differently as things change over time. And I'm trying to introduce some of that stuff without ticking a whole bunch of people off talking about List Eeasier. But let me tell you, it has caused me to do some things already that I'm like, oh my gosh, because I don't have space here. I'm contemplating somehow, some way getting a warehouse space if I want to go down this road completely, because I see so much money in it because this deal I just did that I'm going to tell you about here in the next couple of videos. And it's not something I would ever do. But I did it because of the multi-quantity aspect and the List Eeasier aspect. If you want to check it out, now's the time. You can go down there and look at that link. There's just that $14.99 thing and kind of experiment with it. I have asked them to create a Facebook page. I may do it. I may do a Facebook page because it is kind of an acquired taste. You got to figure out what works best and how to do this and how things are changing quickly and how best to really ramp your business up using this stuff. So I might just start it. If anybody that is using List Eeasier wants to do it with me and help me with it, I think it would be a good service. It would be for me somewhere really quickly to get on there and be like, hey, has anybody tried this yet? Has anybody done this yet? And I'm having trouble with this. Can you do this? Because the time saved is just insane when I have done these. Anyway, I won't belabor that point any further today. Don't forget, drop your great stories down below, multi-quantity finds at garage sales or thrift stores. And thank you, as always, for stopping by. And thank you for the Enaman. There's like a mascot on. We've sold, I think, close to 5,000 now total. If you take all of the other different types, like that's the number 3 right there. And we really do appreciate you. And I can't wait to see you next time.